Welcome back to the Dopesick Show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer, and this is Sasha. I spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but I've been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a lot of stories about the dumb stuff I did to get put in prison, and I've also got a lot of stories about the crazy stuff that happened when I was in prison. And God forbid you end up in prison, you want to make some of the same mistakes I made. So this next story here sucks. It sucks that certain things are the way they are with the justice system. And I think most people will agree. And you know what? I really don't care if you don't, because it's still wrong. And it's wrong, and I'm going to get to this. So Big Youngin, he's a big old baby-faced kid. A big kid, though. I mean, this kid was like, I'd say about 6'4", 280. Just a big bone kid. But I mean, he looked like, like a high school kid. You know, had like skater hair. I mean, he looked like he should have been off in high school somewhere. Instead, he's sitting in federal prison serving a 25-year sentence for doing something every addict has done. Okay? Now, I got to really know this kid the last little bit of my sentence because I changed up my routine, my schedule. I started going to work out at lunchtime. The bar gets passed. See, every hour they open the compound for 10 minutes for you to go wherever you need to get to. Then they shut it down. So every hour, we had 7 Olympic bars, 45-pound plates. There were more of those laying around you could count. Some people, some of the chomos, people like that, they get one of them and just, do some Jane Fonda stuff with it since, nobody's going to let them lift any weight. The dumbbells, 2 sets, go up to 60. And those get passed to people too. Certain dumbbells, the bars, go to certain people, certain hours. Now, after you've been there for a while, certain people that work out and are actually hitting numbers, that's usually the people that are going to, end up getting a bar, getting a crew, everything else. And I mean, it's just how respect works on the weight pile and all that. I ended up getting a bar and having a little bunch of guys out there that tried to build them up. Got them pretty good on deadlift, that's my thing. And, he ended up being one of those people. His kid was just nice as could be. I mean, and that's what sucks. So I want to tell you what happened with them. And it's not too long of a story. It's really not too long of a story, and it sucks to tell. I hate telling it because he's still in there. As any drug addicts will call other drug addicts when their connection doesn't have any. If I have a connection to this dealer, but these 2 guys don't know that dealer, and these 2 guys, dude is out, one of them, let's say it was 20 a bag, let's just say that. One guy gives me 100 for 5, the other one gives me 60 for 3. I can get 10 for 150. I make $10, so that pays for my lunch. And I make an extra 2 because, it's how it works. It's how people middleman. It's better than stealing grandma's ring or doing some crazy stuff like that. Some people don't have any shame, though. They'll just, they don't care. They'll just do whatever is most convenient and quickest. A lot of the people that middleman, a lot of the people that get started dealing when they're addicts, they're the ones with the conscience. And they're the ones that are punished the worst. And that's backwards because, they're like, well, there's the dealers. They're not dealers. They're middlemen. Most of the prisons are not filled with big, bad drug dealers. That was, like some kind of type of kingpin in a Marvel Comics movie or some of that stuff, It ain't like that. So, he was not a dealer. He was an addict. And there was a guy. And he said it was basically this guy who just annoyed him. He didn't like the guy, but, he was in his circles. He had his number. Said he called him 20, 30 times. He ignored him. Said he picked up, told him, man, I can't do nothing. No, you got to find somebody else. Dude kept calling. He said he told him no twice. After, he said literally, in the reports on the paperwork, it will show that this dude called him 60, 70 times. And after this dude annoyed him enough, squeaky wheel gets the grease. He went and middleman to deals. This dude would leave him alone. So he didn't really even make, you know, much, if anything, off of it. Well, that person died. And he got charged with it because it's weird with that. With the overdoses, you know, there are 100,000 overdose deaths a year. And the minimum mandatory sentence for an overdose, regardless of whether you live or die, if somebody calls an ambulance, it's an overdose. Even if it really wasn't an overdose, by federal law, that's considered an overdose. It's 20 years mandatory minimum, even if they live. First in my apartment who sold it to someone who lived and to someone who died, everybody was blaming it on me. I was set to do 40 to life. The guy who lived because I saved his life. She wanted to drag him out in the street. When he woke up, I told him, "You owe me." And I told him, "You owe me," because I was getting walked off in handcuffs. I was in hiding for my state charges. And he didn't go to jail. And I was mad. I was like, "Man, I got myself put in jail saving you." I'm not going to let him, wasn't going to let him die. But, like, I was still mad at him. I said, "You owe me when I get out." And I said, "Your friend, I'm going to drag you out in the street." Looked at her. She hung her head. She knew I was telling the truth. Other people said I did it. And I figured since he was her childhood friend, he was also going to go with that. So then I'd take it and she wouldn't have to. He spoke up for me. He hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here right now. Wouldn't be here. Yeah. But anyhow, this guy died. Now, people want somebody to blame. Okay? And this might sound a little bit cold, but I mean, if you choose to do drugs, now with the fentanyl, that's it's a little bit trickier nowadays. I mean, they should go back to the cartel and stuff, but people don't know which ones have what. It's not like somebody said, "I'm going to do something evil." You know what I mean? Now, I'm sure there are people like that. But this kid he got bugged until he finally did it. He was that nice guy. Like, I could have bugged him there about doing something. "Hey, go get this. I'll give you a few bucks for it." And he wouldn't have wanted to do it, and it would have took him extra time. I could have bugged him until he went to go do it. People pleaser. And yeah, so he got bailed out. Imagine being 18 years old, and you just got a federal charge that you got bonded out on that's a 20-year mandatory minimum sentence. He was scared to death. I mean, back then we didn't have prison, YouTube. There was no context of prison except for some movies that showed some awful stuff, like that American History X. And then you go on the internet, you're going to find Felice Johnson. I mean, shoot, yeah, scared to death. And, even if he did have context, it's still, he's 18. And, because he finally agreed, this person kept calling him. So he went on the run. He ran on bond. And he ran for a couple months, and yeah, they ended up catching him. Well, yeah, they gave him the 20, and then they gave him another 5 years for running. So at 18 years old, he would have been 35 when he got out. But because he ran, and he's got 25 years to do it, it's going to be about 22 years. So he's going to be it's going to be 40 years old when he gets out. Now, because he lived in a area, it's a voting district, they like to make an example that they're getting tough on crime, taking out the dealers. This dealer sold us a kid that died. We need to do something about it. You did nothing. You put a kid away for 25 years. A middleman doing the same thing the rest are doing. I mean, it sucks. I mean, the guy who wanted it, he definitely wanted it. He called him 60, 70 times. And I became good friends with him, tried to guide him, everything else, And he's lucky because he started, he'd done enough jail time that with good time, he had less than 20 years. If you have less than 20 years with good time, you can start at a low security. If you've got more than 20 years remaining on your sentence, you can't start at a low. You can't be at a low. And when he gets down to less than 10 years remaining on his sentence, he can be at the camp. Now, the camp don't have fences. People meeting girls out in the woods. It's easy to get tricked up there. I was mad when I didn't go to the camp first, but then at the end, I didn't want to. I probably could have pushed it and gotten there. I had so low points. I had camp points. Actually, I had camp points the entirety of my sentence. It's crazy I never ended up going. But if your roommate has a phone, both y'all get sent to another state. You know, so, but it's a nicer, a lot of people go there and they live easy, nice, cushy lives, but every 6 months they go in there and there's like 150, 200 people at the camp. They lock 30 of them up. There's like 20% of the people that are there aren't going to be there in a year. They're going to get in trouble, sent back to the low, sent to another state. But, you know, it worked out. I told man, I said, you can be a monster. I said, you got this time you work out, you get into powerlifting. I said, you got the bone structure for it. You can be an animal when you get out, man. And, you know, trying to give them something. Like, that was what I did, like, lift. I couldn't feel like all my time was just wasted. Like, I was just taking up space. You know, it had to do something. And depending on the prison you're at, you're going to deal with racial politics. It's stupid. Just stupid. On any race that's just ignorant towards a whole other race. In West Virginia, I mean, that typically, if you ain't white, you're going to have a problem, okay? I ended up in Virginia, and the woman that was in charge of education, fat, middle-aged woman, so unbearable. The one time I politely went to go ask her about it, and so rude and terrible, just cussing and everything else. Say, I'm not doing these correspondence. No, I'm not. Because every time I have to get a new book, my new books to send in, I have to go to her. Anytime I have to, everything. And I ask certain people, and they're like, yeah, it's difficult, but you just got to keep on. You know, she'll do it. You bug her enough. And I'm like, not doing that. Not doing that. Subject myself to that. Lord have mercy. Petersburg was terribly run place. I'm telling you. Terribly run place. But anyhow, that's where he's at. And, you know, I hope he's at, it's, by now, he should be getting close to, down to, another couple years, he should have 10 years or less. With good time, he could be at the camp. But, you know, they put these people, and it's only in the voting districts. And here's what's messed up. The law's messed up in the first place. But you don't see people getting put away for overdoses in the ghetto. It's in voting districts. It's a political tool that they use. I mean, it's stupid. If you were to put every person that sold to somebody that overdosed, live and died, there are 100,000 that die. You can guarantee that, you know, there's another 200,000 people that lived. That's 300,000 people. There's roughly 150,000 people in the federal prison system, if my memory serves me correctly. That would mean that the federal prison system would double in a single year if you arrested every single person that sold the dope that someone overdosed off of. Because live or die, it's the same 20-year charge. And we already have the most people in the world incarcerated in our country. Oh, by far. Go ahead, shoot. 300, shoot, I said, yeah, 300,000. That would triple the population. It wouldn't double it. It would triple it because there's already 150,000. Add another 300,000. You know, system of a down zone. They're trying to build a prison for you and me to live in. I listened to that growing up. That's the truth. That song, it's the truth. It sucks for this kid though. He's a nice kid. What did you do? Putting him away. You stole his life. You know? And yeah, I feel strongly about this. It's ignorant. It's stupid. So that's it for this one. I'm sorry this was a little bit aggravated on my part. But this guy became my friend. You know, I tried to just give him advice, you know, so he didn't end up at a medium, especially Petersburg medium. God, I can't imagine being there for 20 years. Ugh. I acted as good as I could act for 2 years. Get up out of there. The low, it wasn't as bad, okay? 10 times better than the medium. It wasn't wonderful. It's still prison. It still sucks. But the medium, oh, Lord. Lord. That's a different type of hell. Okay? You got different types of hell with violence, this, that. Okay. Go to the Twilight Zone, Petersburg medium. Mm-hmm. And if you're Chomo, you probably like it. You probably love it. They go through gallons of Vaseline on each other, and the guards are taught to treat them nicer. If you sold dope, you're a second-class citizen there. But anyway, that's it. If you liked the video, press the like button. If not, It's almost 50. Now it's 15 minutes. Gotcha. You waited 15 minutes of your life in which you'll never get back. Canadian jail war story, something like that. I believe he's doing a live at 7. There was some stuff, and I clown on the kid a little bit, but then some stuff has come to light. He's a good dude. Talks like one of the people from Fargo. I like that how they talk. It cracks me up because you never know about those Fargo people because the Fargo. Oh, what are you doing there, eh? And they talk like that, but they might have somebody chopped up in a freezer. You never know what those people would have that type of accent. I know he's in Canada. He's not in Fargo, North Dakota, whatever. But they talk the same. I like how they talk. It's funny. They probably think how I talk's funny too, and I mean, plenty of people do, but that's what it is.